Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, our THCF, and our affiliated political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, or CRRH. We have a couple great panel members tonight. Madeline Martinez, Director of Oregon Normal, and Russ Balville, Radio Superstar and Associate Director of Oregon Normal. And over here in music, we have John Cornett and Tim Payne.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome back, folks.
Thank you.
All of you. Thanks, Paul. We have a great show lined up for you, so just stay tuned as we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves. Wasn't that cute? Our first story: decreasing cannabis penalties does not increase cannabis use, according to a new study out of Seattle. The enforcement of criminal penalties against marijuana possession is not associated with a reduction in cannabis use, availability, or potency, according to a new report by the University of Washington, commissioned by the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington. The study found, quote, increasing marijuana arrests does not achieve the stated goals of marijuana prohibition. Despite recent increases in marijuana arrests, the price of marijuana has dropped. Its average potency has increased, it's become more readily available, and marijuana use rates have often increased during the decade of increasing arrests, end quote. The authors reported that marijuana arrests comprise nearly 50% of all the drug-related arrests in the United States since 1992. Of those arrested, African Americans are overrepresented compared to the marijuana-using population. The authors of the report went on and said, quote, the enforcement of marijuana laws entails many social costs. These include the use of controversial police tactics, the erosion of civil liberties, court overcrowding, the diversion of treatment dollars when recreational marijuana users are required to participate in mandatory drug treatment programs, racial inequity in the application of the law, and a loss of faith in the judicial system, end quote, among those charged with cannabis-related offenses. By contrast, the authors reported that eliminating criminal penalties for minor marijuana possession offenses does not lead to an increase in cannabis use or other drug-related problems. The study concluded, quote, there is no evidence that the decriminalization of marijuana by certain states or the deprioritization of marijuana enforcement in municipalities caused an increase in marijuana use or related problems. This conclusion is consistent with the findings of numerous studies indicating that the increasing enforcement of marijuana laws has little impact on marijuana use rates and that decriminalization of marijuana in U.S. states and elsewhere did not increase cannabis use, end quote. A Washington State proposal, Senate Bill 5615, which seeks to decrease marijuana possession penalties from a criminal misdemeanor to a civil infraction, is now before the Senate Rules Committee. There are about 14 other states that do that. Oregon was the first in 73, and California followed suit soon after in 74. The full text of this report, The Consequences and Costs of Marijuana Prohibition, is available online at www.aclu-wa.org. That's aclu-wa.org. Our next story tonight is an editorial from the Los Angeles Times. I liked it so much I want to read it. The heart of the debate about marijuana's medicinal value is a dearth of academic research into its therapeutic properties. For 40 years, the federal government has frustrated such study by restricting marijuana cultivation for research to a single source, the University of Mississippi. Most recently, the Bush administration denied the application of a well-regarded botanist at the University of Massachusetts to establish another cultivation facility, despite a ruling by an administrative law judge determining that it should go forward. For 8 years, Professor Lyle Cracker has struggled to obtain a license from the Drug Enforcement Administration to grow research-grade cannabis. His proposal is to supply marijuana to DEA-approved researchers who've undergone a rigorous review and approval process by the U.S. Public Health Service and whose protocols have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. The DEA, however, has behaved as if it wants this serious scientist wants to start a backyard plot for campus parties. In February 2007, after 9 days of testimony from expert witnesses and administration officials, light broke through the DEA's bureaucratic murk. Administrative Law Judge Mary Ellen Bittner issued an 87-page opinion saying that the supply of marijuana from the University of Mississippi is insufficient in quality and quantity, and that Cracker's project should go forward. In a case study of governmental intransigence, the DEA dithered for 2 years. Then, a few days before the Obama administration took power, Acting Administrator Michelle Leonhardt issued a final order denying Cracker's application. Members of Congress have urged Attorney General Eric H. Holder, Jr. to amend or overrule the order, and he should do so. Then he should go further and change the culture of the agency. Instead of thwarting the advancement of science, the DEA should encourage cannabis research. As California and the U.S. government continue to debate the future of medical marijuana, what we need is a body of work on the drug's efficacy in treating a variety of illnesses and conditions. Instead, we have a collection of small studies and individual testimony. On Monday, President Obama signed a scientific integrity presidential memorandum and promised that his administration would base its public policies on science, not politics. The DEA is one of many federal agencies ready for enlightenment. The Attorney General should heed calls to end the DEA's obstruction of serious research into the medicinal value of marijuana. This is an editorial from the Los Angeles Times published this week on March 10th, 2009. I'd like to draw your attention as well to a recent court hearing in Port Orchard, Washington, where the two people who were authorized by THCF's medical clinics, Bruce and Pam Olson, have been prosecuted over the past 2 years. Earlier this week, I went in to be an expert witness along with one of our physicians who's been on this show, Dr. Orvald, and a person in the audience had a very small representation of this sign. That sign, it was on a small 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. The prosecutor saw that sign and threw the jury out, throwing out about 3 days of court work, saying that that sign in a person's hand on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper had tainted the jury. Prosecutions in Kitsap County and Mason County on the western part of Washington State on the Olympic Peninsula have been overzealous, to say the least. These two patients had no usable marijuana and were growing the number of plants our clinic had recommended. We urge our viewers up in Washington this week to go out to Port Orchard and bear witness to the travesty of justice that's taking place there. It's any time from 9 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon in Port Orchard, Washington. And it's the case of Bruce Olson versus the state of Washington. Actually, the way the drug unit out there works, there's a drug unit called WestNet, and they go in. If you have a dog, they're going to feed your dog rat poison, and then while your dog is convulsing, they will urge you to testify for them and incriminate yourself. And in this case, they went to Pam Olson and told her if she would just testify against her husband, they would allow her to treat her dogs. And that was the deal. They poisoned the dogs, and then they used that as a tactic to gain the testimony that they want. So I want to urge our viewers to let the officials up there know that we do not allow puppy poisoning and these puppy poisoning colluders to run the justice system. So that's just a personal editorial. Thanks. Guess we have Tim Pate and John Cornette. How are you folks doing?
We are here tonight. Yes, indeed.
All right. You ready to jam?
Well, we might as well. I think it's time, especially after that last story. I was up at the Seattle Hip Fest this last week, and they were urging everybody up in the Seattle area to go to that as well, if they could. And they mirrored what you just said. There's a travesty of justice going on in Washington right now, and it needs to be
isolated. This is just where we've drawn the line. And
true.
We've got to stop these puppy poisoning colluders from overtaking the justice system.
Yeah, there's something to be said about standing up for your rights, even if you have to go through the court system to do that, and to expose people who are misusing the justice system for their own political gain.
In this case, they threatened the wife that they were going to charge her again if she testified in favor of her husband.
Yeah.
They threatened every witness there. It's psychological warfare
and intimidating the jury as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a bad scene. I hope somebody who has authority is listening and can call it on these folks, because obviously there's not enough authority in the courtroom. Right. To expose that level of abuse.
Well, I'll be there testifying, as will Dr. Orvald, a past guest on this show, trying to see that Bruce Olson's rights are respected.
Yep.
He's a brave warrior for standing up in the face of this. He faces at least 18 months in prison if convicted.
He shouldn't be there for a day.
Yeah.
No reason.
Neither one of them should be. Their whole family's been persecuted.
A sick person.
They even had to sell their home to pay their attorneys.
I know.
Now they're living in a trailer.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
There's something wrong with this thing. Play it, John.
Thank you. Tim Pate, John Cornette. Kind of had like a Velvet Underground kind of.
Absolutely. We're both official members of that, lifelong.
All right.
Just punked it up a few minutes ago.
Yes, we did.
It was pretty darn good.
We'll forget it by next week, but that's okay. We got it on recording, right?
That's right.
Great.
It's preserved for posterity here.
Amen.
In the internet. Welcome, Madeline and Russ.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Be here.
How was the conference in Washington last week?
It was a board meeting.
Yeah.
Normal
right.
board meeting.
That's
It
what
was great as always. I was having a great time with my colleagues up there. They
come from all over the country, and we have a wonderful time. We got a lot done.
Good.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Worth announcing here?
Well, we're coming up with our ads, our great ads that are going to be coming out soon, and we're excited about that.
Great.
Try to do some fundraising on that end. But other than that, just listening to what's going on across the nation, and also finding out that the Normal Conference is coming up. And Russ, you're going to have to remind me of the date.
I believe it's the last weekend of September 24th.
There you go. And we're having a normal legal conference here in September, a couple of days before hemp stock. So that's pretty exciting.
That's great.
Can you tell us what kind of topics you covered at the board meeting?
Well, we covered all kinds of topics. Gee whiz, I can't even tell you. The agenda was pretty extensive.
Yeah. So the legal
budget,
conference
the usual.
Is going to be where
things.
is it held at?
It's going to be held here along with the Oregon Criminal Defense Attorneys Association.
Great.
Yeah.
Right on.
Lee Berger got it together, and he's on the normal legal committee. So it's going to be here. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not sure exactly where he's having it, but we'll have all that information as it becomes available. And it's going to be a fun time, having all those normal legal, those attorneys here in town. They're so wise. It'll be worth going out and getting involved to hear what they've got to say, the commentary on medical marijuana and marijuana across the country. And actually, we're waiting for Representative Barney Frank's new bill to come out, so that's pretty exciting.
Legalize
always
marijuana, basically.
Exactly.
And that would be a federal bill.
Federal bill, yeah. We want to just get it out of the way completely, because the state stuff, and I got to tell everybody, it seems like we're really under attack. I think there's 24 bills at the legislature
here in Oregon, right?
Yeah, that are assaulting.
Restrict Oregon's medical marijuana bill. The one getting the most publicity this week is that the state will tax medical patients at $98 an ounce and grow it themselves somehow.
Well, we think it's great that they're thinking about us, and they finally realize, snap, that we need access.
Right.
Because, if we don't have access, we're forced to go to the black market. So, consequently, the light bulb went on in their head that they can make money.
Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is that they want to take our right to grow, our individual gardens away.
They want to tax the sick and dying.
And then I was
to balance the budget.
Yeah, I was dumbfounded when I saw that you're going to have to go to a pharmacist because they're going to try to change it to Schedule 2, which, come on, we've been trying that for how many years, and it's not going to happen. And then once you go to the pharmacist may say, for any reason, no, you can't have your medicine. Isn't that special? Once they repeal our law, it's just not going to happen. We're going to be up in arms. Get ready, folks.
So is the hearing coming up on Wednesday?
Actually, there's a hearing coming up on Wednesday on it, and Russ is going to be posting it to our website, or normal.org, as soon as we get, probably tomorrow, as soon as we get the chance. And we're going to find out, we'll have the schedule of the times for you, and everything up there.
We're going to get the bus and get people together like we did last week?
The bus really didn't pan out. Unfortunately, they were very nice about it, but the gas pump went out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, right the night they were going to go put gas in it the night before, and it just...
Well, maybe it'll be fixed by Wednesday.
Well, I'm hoping so, but we need to go down there and let them know that we do not want this to go into effect unless, of course, they tweak it and leave our law alone, because we feel that patients should be able to be supplemented somehow. Actually, in 2007, Malady Silverwolf and Alicia Williamson and myself asked Senator Morissette to introduce Senate Bill 767, and it was a state garden concept to supplement, but never to take away the rights of... individuals to grow, So this is really problematic, and we need to get out there and really let them know how we feel about it. I'll be there testifying on Wednesday.
Great. So how have you been doing, Russ?
Excellent. Getting quite busy. Started my new work with Normal at the national level. I'm now the National Chapter Outreach Coordinator, which means it's my job to herd all the cats nationwide.
So that's going to entail some travel, I would think.
There'll be some travel involved, and basically I want to take the example, the fine example that Madeline has presented with Oregon Normal, and take that nationwide and have them all be as active and as working as hard, lobbying, introducing legislation, having great events just like Oregon NORML's always had. It's really amazing where we're getting, we've talked, you and I have talked a few times about how it feels like there's this wave behind us for marijuana law reform right now, and it really is showing in the letters that I get, the emails I get from people wanting to start NORML chapters. I just today was talking to 3 or 4 people in Alaska who are trying to start a chapter, Missouri, Idaho, all these different places, and best of all, we're starting to get from other countries, Japan, Australia, Bulgaria, and Guam just this week have contacted me trying to start a chapter. So it's a really exciting time here.
That is great.
It is an exciting time.
We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
I had a question for you about the law that they're trying to pass to take away the rights for patients and caregivers to be able to grow their own medicine. Is this something that is going to be passed through the government where we're not going to have to vote on it, or is this something where we would be able to have a vote on it?
Right now, it's coming up for... Have they even assigned it to a committee hearing yet?
They're going to have their first committee hearing on Wednesday. The time I'm not sure of, but I believe it goes before Mike Schaffler, who's not real supportive of our law and would like nothing better, as he suggested to me, than to get rid of it and to give the state the monopoly. And while I have no problem with the state making money on medical marijuana, they already have, I do have a problem with them stepping on my right to grow, your right to grow, anyone else's right to grow their own medicine.
Yeah, I'm a card holder in the state of Oregon, and I couldn't imagine having to pay $100 an ounce. There's no way I could afford that.
And that's just the tax that they would establish. That doesn't say the pharmacist
$98 an ounce. I'm not sure, yeah.
It seems to me like this bill is trying to come in as a Trojan horse. They cite the fact that we have a problem with access, and they also try to drum up those scares of there being abuse in the program. And so it sounds good to say, oh, let's change it to Schedule 2 and have the state grow it and sell it through pharmacies. And like Madeline said, we did that with 767. And when we said, hey, let's have the state grow it and sell it through pharmacies, they said, oh, no. The state would never grow because that would contravene federal law, and the pharmacies would never distribute because that would contravene federal law.
But now that the bottom's been pulled out of their budget, they're looking to tax the heck out of the sick and dying, which I think's outrageous.
And to make it matters worse,
my last comment on that was if the state did take it over, how the federal government and the DEA go into the compassion clubs in the state of California and shut those down.
Yep.
What if they came into the state of Oregon and shut the state of Oregon down for growing?
Exactly.
Then what'll us medical users have it all if we can't grow for ourselves or for the state?
That's the idea. That's the idea, is they're trying to make it sound like they're improving access when really, since we wouldn't be able to grow and the state wouldn't do it, nobody would be growing and there'd be no program.
Yeah, and they would hold that one particular law you're talking about. I read it today. It describes that we would only be able to keep 1 ounce on us. Period. That would be it. And your grower could only keep another ounce for you. So you're constantly having to grow baby tomatoes, and have them ripe every 3 days just to keep your medicine.
Crazy.
It doesn't work.
Well, hopefully we'll kill that.
To remember what Alvy Musica said, I was just speaking to a reporter, and he said, there's so much abuse out there, patients are being taken advantage of, and their medicine's being stolen. People are breaking into homes to steal the medical marijuana. But the fact of the matter is, look at Bernie Madoff. Do we bust everybody who robs and steals? I mean, we try to. The banks are robbing us. Our own government is robbing us in many ways. What do we do about it? I heard about some couple that they had a home invasion because of the puppies they were raising. They stole the puppies. So we can't stop everything. All walks of life have people who will prey upon the weakest, but we need to manage that, and we just need to have a way for people to have access in a safe manner, but without stepping on other people's rights. Period.
Well, thank you, caller, for your question.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on. We have a studio audience member. By the way, we do have a studio audience. If you'd like to come down to our show, come on down to 2766 Northeast MLK or Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard any Friday night at 8 o'clock. Hello.
Yeah, this is John.
Hey, John.
Over here. And I heard that ring too, Paul. Listen, the people who can least afford to pay $95 a month to some institution or government or whatever are the disabled, the people who are hurting and in a lot of pain. And that's I don't know really the statistics, but isn't that like the lion's share of the people who, I don't know if it is.
Yeah, if you have a medical marijuana permit in any state, you have a very serious medical condition.
They're preying on people who can't really afford it. And as far as, hey, since I've been, okay, but the other thing is, Isn't there an old saying that if something is broke, don't fix it? You know,
Yeah,
why would
something
they
ain't
want
broke,
to
don't
break
fix it,
something
right.
that's actually making revenue for the state? Now, if they're talking about, as you suggested, doing something separate and just leaving us alone, thank you, that's great. But as long as it doesn't supersede what we're doing, thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
we
good
agree.
point.
Well, they're calling it. I think what they're trying to call it is a sin tax, and I don't think that being disabled is a sin. You know, it's an inconvenience and it's a hard life.
It's
but
certainly
definitely not a sin.
One of the emergency the natures of this bill, I'd like to point this out right now, is that there's a clause written into these bills that if the legislature passes it, there's an emergency status nature in the state is what the bill is declaring, and it will go into effect immediately. And so that's something we have to be aware of. This is something we must fight, and we cannot, let up on this. If we don't agree with the nature of these bills that the law enforcement, in particular 5 specific bills, have put in, we must, we have to deal with that. We really do, because it really will affect our license and our ability to grow everything immediately, and probably put 20,000 people out of medicine for a 3-month period until the state can gear up to get their first ounce.
I don't see the state gearing up in 3 months.
I don't either.
Just don't think
That's a
happen.
really the best case scenario. I'm sure it would take a lot longer than that. So no, it's scary.
It's frightening, but the other thing is that this is a Republican that's putting it forward. I'm going to say it right. Marr and Ron Marr. I had the interesting experience of meeting his legislative aide, who said, "Yeah, we've got this, and we're going to do this." And I said, "Well, we're going to be up here in arms, and we're going to take this down. There's no way this is going to pass and destroy everything we've built in a decade worth of work. We've been trying hard, and it's not going to happen. I assure you of that." But this is a Republican, and we have a Democratic majority at the legislature. So if we can get all of you involved, we have a lot of people that will stand up for us. Diane Rosenbaum, Peter Buckley, we've got a lot of champions, Bill Morset. And so you need to contact your representative and tell them absolutely no to this bill. Let's kill it now before it spreads.
We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, this is Monty, and first of all, Tim Pate.
Yeah.
Oh, what a wonderful musician. I love you, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you.
Russ, nice work. I sent you some money on the normal website.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good job.
So
Good
keep
job.
up the good work. Paul, did you ever get my email on my homemade vaporizer?
Yeah, I did. It looked pretty good. The best vaporizer is the one you use, of course. So,
absolutely.
Vaporizers are a real miracle in terms of offering an alternative to smoking. I had just been coughing my brains out after 30 years of smoking, and when I started using my vaporizer, that all went away, and I really do enjoy it.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for the tip. And the last question is to Madeline. Where do we stand on the Molino shooting? I sent two letters out to the sheriff of Clackamas County, and how can we become more involved? That was an outrage.
It was an outrage. I tell you what, after my experience, I could have had a heart attack the day they pounded on my door. But I will tell you that, if nothing else, we got them to admit that no one should ever die over cannabis. So that was a really good outcome as far as I'm concerned, because people really let their voices be heard, and that's why I'm telling everybody we have to get our voices out there. So thank you for sending those letters. I appreciate it.
We have the number for the Clackamas County Sheriff also listed up on our website at ornorml.org. Give them a call. When they get those calls, they treat it as if it is many, many, many people, because they know most people won't take the time to call. So make that call, check out the website, and be polite, but tell them how you feel.
Excellent advice. Yeah, Paul, one last question. Lex, his parrot eats hemp. Is that okay for parrots?
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, hemp seeds are really good for birds, and the bud itself's pretty good too. Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Keep up the great work.
There was an exemption put into the law when they first made marijuana seeds illegal by the bird seed manufacturers, saying that parakeets just have to have hemp, or their coat won't be as glossy and they won't have oil to keep them dry in the rain.
They won't sing either.
I agree.
Right.
Most birds, if you give them a handful of mixed seeds, they'll pick the hemp seeds out.
Exactly.
They're smarter than our government, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's amazing.
Point. Hey, we have a film clip we're going to roll right now. We'll be back in just a second to take more of your phone calls. So enjoy. We start this.
So make yourself at home and go ahead and chill. There's nothing better than kicking it with some good friends, relaxing and partying. Yo, turn it up, that's a sweet jam. Sometimes you gotta relax your mind, take advantage of a little free time, cause tomorrow it's right back to the daily grind. You need to enjoy it because they're far and few. Be glad you got good friends surrounding you. They say happiness is priceless, now I know it's true. We can smoke if you want to, we can roll up a joint of the kind. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just relax our minds. We can drink if you want to, we can break out a bottle of wine. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just pass the time. Smoke, drink, smoke, drink.
Well, it's going down once again, J. Rick or Big B. Sip a little vino, smoking lots of weed. Album number 3, if you better believe. Mr. Mahoney's more than friends, he's like family to me. And we proceed to creep these Vegas streets. No shirt, flip-flop, socks up to my knees. Nicky short, sag low, followed by some smoke, talking in my hand on the way to the show. Because I just do what I want to. I like to elevate and soak my mind. But if you're down for the crown and backing up the skate, then we should have a real good time.
Yeah, we can smoke if you want to, we can roll up a joint of the kind. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just relax our minds. We can drink if you want to, we can break out a bottle of wine. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just pass the time.
Smoke, drink, smoke, drink. What's up, ladies? You're looking real good. They call me Daddy S. I'm the king of this neighborhood. I got the wood whiteboard like no other. 360 dump, roast a skunk and kiss your mother. It's all love, girl. I keep it in the family. So think twice if you think that you can handle me. A Big B when it gets a little sauce in them. Or Johnny Richter when that pimp starts tossing them. Buttons up, party people, now it's party time. We're gonna drink and smoke and dance, just relax your mind. And do the nasty. Who's down to procreate? Just a call when your period's a little late.
We can smoke if you want to, we can roll up a joint of the kind. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just relax our minds. We can drink if you want to, we can break out a bottle of wine. You can bring some friends and I can bring some friends and we'll just pass the time.
All right. That was from last year's Hemp Stock.
Great music.
So this is the band?
That was Big B, and the song's called We Can Smoke, and Big B's releasing a new album here in the next week, I believe. He's going to be a guest on the Normal Daily Audio Stash at stash.normal.org, so if you want to hear more of that Big B stuff, we also have free downloads for registered members, so check it out.
Neat.
It was real jumpy. I want to let everybody know that our cardholder meeting for tomorrow, March the 14th, has been canceled. There was a conflict with another group is going to be meeting there. It's an all-day event till the next day, so we lost our spot, but it had been made months in advance, and what are you going to do? But Eric's a sweetheart and let us know, and we've let everybody know. We tried to change the time, and just didn't work out. So we'll be back on March 28th. That's Saturday, fourth Saturday of the month, 11 a.m. The doors will open.
I also want to remind you that the Portland Hemp Stock's coming again. This year it'll be on September 12th and 13th. We're happy that most of our major attractions will be back again. We have Folk Uke. It's the daughters of Willie Nelson and Arlo Guthrie.
Did you say 12th
Amy
and
Nelson
13th?
and Kathy Guthrie. What was that?
Did you say 12th and 13th?
Yeah.
Did you move it to the next
September?
weekend?
No,
It's always been traditionally the first full weekend in September.
Well, no, it's the weekend after Labor Day. So Labor Day is the weekend after. It's always the first Monday of
It
the
wouldn't be
month.
the 12th and 13th. I mean that. It'd probably be the 5th and 6th.
Okay, I've double-checked this. It's the 12th and the 13th, Tim.
We've only got 6 months to figure it out.
You better double-check that.
I think we better double-check that. I think we better double-check that.
Okay, we will. Well, then, so much for that announcement. But I'm pretty darn sure we've applied for the things in that day.
Check out the website.
That's what I've been telling various acts. And if you look at the... I mean, I could pull out my calendar right now, but we won't do that here.
Okay.
Anyway, so there you are. Come to this year's Hempstock. We have the major acts coming back again. Folk Uke, Human and the Human Revolution, and John Trudell, I'm happy to announce, are coming back as well. We'll have more to announce in the future.
And when we're making announcements, also the Global Cannabis March will be coming up on May the 2nd at Pioneer Courthouse Square. We march at high noon, and we're also going to have Human in the Human Revolution.
Hey, they're great.
Yeah, they are great. We have a lot of other great local bands.
The best hemp song in the history of the world with the Tree of Life, if you ask me.
I love it. It's my favorite song. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I love it.
Me too. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, Paul?
Yes.
Madeline? It's Joe.
Hey, Joe.
They're having a thing on Channel 2 News tonight at 11 o'clock on that medical and the marijuana initiative you were just talking about.
Uh-huh.
So I just thought you should...
Hey, a heads up. Well, we appreciate that.
All right. You have a good day. Bye, Madeline.
You too.
You got better.
Thanks for your call. If you have a question for us tonight, you can call us on Friday the 13th of March, 2009 at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448.
I'll deliver a couple of snippets of good news at the federal level. We've been paying attention to the remarks of various federal officials. This week on the stash, we had Representative Loretta Sanchez, a Democrat out of California, openly saying we ought to try a pilot program of legalization of marijuana in California to see what would happen and whether or not it would be a good idea. This, I believe, is today or maybe yesterday, Senator Jim Webb, who's a strong proponent, he's from Virginia, Democrat from Virginia, strong proponent of sentencing reform and prison reform, also calling for a look at at least decriminalization as a way to reduce prison sentences and prison overcrowding. And finally, President Barack Obama was having a press conference discussing the U.S.-Mexico border tensions because of that horrendous war they've got going down there on the border, and was asked directly whether or not decriminalization of marijuana would be a reasonable step to take. And President Obama said, I think the problem we've had in the past is that we've always had an either-or approach, and what we need to have is a both approach, where we look at treating addiction as a public health issue as well as using law enforcement resources. And he also stated that he felt we've been fighting the drug war with one hand tied behind our back because we haven't been addressing the demand issue and addressing the need for treatment for people. Now, obviously, most of this is discussing hard drugs, cocaine and such, and that wouldn't apply to marijuana. But at least from our federal officials, we're starting to hear some talk about the issue and broaching the subject of decriminalization, and I think it's a wonderful time.
It's a big step in the right direction.
Well, you know, that's the thing. You can feel the momentum behind us. We all have been saying that amongst ourselves, and then the amazing thing is that's when they rev it up. They start really coming at us. 24 bills at the legislature. They're all in a panic because things are changing so rapidly. To see Jim Webb on TV talking about it, it was absolutely stunning. On MSNBC, my goodness, with Andrea Mitchell. It was just amazing.
Oh, and I just remembered, speaking of the Channel 2 news that's going to be on tonight, a couple other things you might want to set your TiVo for or be ready for. Tonight, Friday night, 10 o'clock here in the Pacific, on ABC's 2020, the John Stossel program out there, he's going to be having a little look at medical marijuana and the Charles Lynch case. And on Sunday on MSNBC, Al Roker investigating Marijuana Inc. Sunday at 7 p.m. I might not be right on the time, but it's on MSNBC this Sunday. So a couple of great shows coming up.
Yeah.
And some more than once, I know that. But can he steal their name? Didn't they just do Marijuana Inc. on another one? I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't know you could do
National
that.
Geographic and MSNBC, maybe they have an agreement.
I don't know if you've seen all the, what is it, Reefer Madness stories out there. There must be a million of them, plus the old movie,
Right.
We have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, Paul. Madeline, I just wanted to thank you for what you do for us. Last week, the last meeting you had of NORML, my husband and I went to the meeting, which is the very first time we've ever been. We were treated so well. we were allowed to take home a couple of clones. And I want to thank you for all you do. I'm one of those patients that has been consistently ripped off by their growers. I'm talking to the point where I might get an ounce every 3 or 4 months from, and I've had 3 or 4 different growers at this point. So I'm in desperation now. I'm just trying to grow my own garden, have my own garden, and I so appreciate the normal meeting and what you did for us to at least get us 2 clones. I'm curious. One of them said Dino. Paul, would that be your dynamite?
That's the dynamite, and you can know that our medicine man, Andrew Hangarud, has been out there making cuttings, and we turned a lot of them over to Oregon Normal to give away last week, I know.
Well, I sure appreciate it, and everyone treated us so well, and we felt a little uneasy going because we're old, 60s and whatnot, and we thought it'd be all young people and whatnot. But I looked around in that audience, and man, we fit right in. We're part of the
we're all
group.
old
So thank
here,
you.
Thank you
Hey,
so
I
much
resemble
for your
that
kind words, and you're
and
welcome.
that strain Dynamite, not only did it win 3rd place at the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, it was the only one we entered for this Northern California and Southern Oregon Cup called the Jefferson Cup, and it won 3rd place there too. So it's a high-quality medicine.
I deal with severe chronic pain, so I appreciate so much. Paul, I was one of your early patients back when you had the clinic in your home in Levesque.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had to roll around on the floor to pick up my kids' toys and food scraps before the clinic.
Yeah. And your only copy machine was a fax machine.
Right. That's right. That was my copier.
Yeah. Well, thanks
We've
for
grown
the good
since
work.
then.
Huh?
We've grown since then.
Oh, my
We're
goodness.
up now to 60 employees and offices in 8 states, and I think we'll be at least to 10 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome, and I applaud you all, and thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to hear about your travesty with the growers. Unfortunately, that's a real danger, especially if you don't know them. I always recommend that people get their family members or close friends, and even then sometimes they get ripped off.
Yeah, but Paul, how do you find some? I mean, I don't have any family or friends that can grow it, and how do you find someone? It's just word of mouth.
If you can do it yourself, that's the best way. That's always the best way. But there are some reputable people usually at the Oregon Normal meetings, and so that's one way to find people.
We try to keep them straight there.
And there are organizations out there like the OMCCC that can help too. I know that they've done that.
We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and I hope you'll come back on the 28th.
We'll try.
All right.
We'll try. Thanks.
And if you're starting your own little garden, Madeline brought this book.
I highly recommend that book. It was my Bible the first time I grew, from George Cervantes, who was from the Portland area. He lived right across the river until George Bush was elected, and about a month after George Bush took office, I got a call from George Cervantes, and I went and had breakfast with him. He said, I can't stand it in America anymore. I'm moving to Spain. So he's been living in Barcelona, Spain since then. But maybe now that we've lived to the other end of the Bush presidency, maybe he'll come back home. Come back home, George.
The great part about this book is that, when you walk around and you're going, what's wrong with my plant? The leaves are curling up, or it's got these weird spots on it.
I love that part.
You can actually go in here and look and diagnose your problem and figure out what you can do to save your plants.
You, too, can be the weed doctor, the Bush doctor.
Come out there. It's a great book, and I'll put my hand on the Bible itself and tell you that this is the one you want. It's called the Cannabis Bible, many people call it.
Now, if you're out there and you're not sure how to grow, you know what? We have some very inexpensive classes where you can come in and learn. We have beginning, intermediate, and advanced growing classes. We have how to make medicinal grade hashish and some other classes. You can come to our office. It's every Wednesday night. It's taught by the medicine man, Andrew Hangarud, and he'd be happy to have you there any Wednesday night at our office at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue here in Portland. So any Wednesday night at 5:30, I might add. 5:30. Don't be late. 5:30.
You know, and I just want to let everybody know at our March 28th meeting, we're going to be talking about all of these legislative bills that are out there really assaulting our law. There's a really good, you know, we have a great friend in Peter Buckley, but 2881 came out, and it's all really nice except the medical review officer is also employed by the employer who is testing you. So that doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't sound like he's going to give you what you want to hear, that your use isn't putting you at risk at work. And that's the whole story. So why don't you come out to the 28th meeting? We're going to be sure and contact our legislators, and we're also going to be sure and talk to you about all these horrible bills.
We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. I was just calling to find out if there is a local normal chapter. I live down in Roseburg, Oregon.
You know, there in Roseburg, there is not a chapter right now. I know there's been talk about various Southern Oregon chapters. I don't know if any of them have actually been
There's
commissioned.
a Southern Oregon chapter down there. Chris Pride, I don't know how close it is to Roseburg. He's down in Ashland.
Yeah.
I guess it's a ride.
It's about a little bit more than an hour and a quarter, hour and a half.
You could probably go down there and talk to them.
If you check out the Normal webpage on normal.org, check the left-hand side. There's a link that says local chapters. When you go there, state and local, click on Oregon. All the Oregon chapters' names and numbers will be there.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, and I had a question also. Have they come up with how much it's going to run besides the $98 tax if they push this bill through?
No, they haven't. They haven't come up with any other real details outside of they're going to tax us $98 an ounce. The tax on the sick and dying doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, but there's not much of a discussion. We just need to kill it.
Yeah, it will probably die.
I think the final price will end up being X, where X is greater than 98.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the information, and y'all have a great day.
Hey, you're welcome.
Have a great weekend.
I want to remind our viewers out there that if you or a loved one has a chronic pain condition such as ruptured discs in your back, compressed discs, a spastic condition like multiple sclerosis or Tourette's or asthma, or a seizure disorder like epilepsy, or you have cancer, AIDS, glaucoma, a gastrointestinal ailment like IBS or Crohn's disease, or a neurological degenerative disease like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, medical marijuana can help. And we have doctors all throughout the western and midwestern United States now, and you can call us. In Portland, the number is 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. For the rest of the country, call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And we have doctors that are willing to help you, ready, willing, and able. So we hope to help. So there.
You do have great doctors.
We do. They're saints. They really are. I'm amazed how nice these people are. Here is something that was brought in. I don't know. Maybe we get camera 2. Sylvia, our hemp cook extraordinaire and camera 2 operator, to close in on Ruth's Hemp Power Cranberry Bar. Now, I remember Ruth's were initially produced in Vancouver, BC, and up on Vancouver Island. But now they're out of Toronto. She must have sold the name or something, but it still looks like the same thing. And this was actually picked up in an employee concessionaire at someone's job. They are selling these on the job to get their employees up and productive. So I can understand that.
Probably the same ones they tested for marijuana use before they got the job.
Maybe
Yeah,
so. Maybe so.
You know, and also I found interesting is that they are actually selling hemp T-shirts at the gift shop at the state capitol.
That is amazing. So they're hemp content T-shirts?
Yeah, they have some hemp in them, and I thought it was pretty amazing that they have them there. We're importing it. Why aren't we growing it? This doesn't make any sense to our own state. Yeah. But I just think it's amazing.
Yes.
We got to get more of it in there. We got to get it out there. Hemp.
That's true, and it's becoming a larger and larger part of our economy. And once marijuana is taxed and regulated, that'll remove the artificial barriers that really impose an economic burden on industrial hemp cultivation. I'm sure that once marijuana is legally regulated, we'll see hemp biodiesel powering our cars and hemp towels and clothing readily available at all stores, and hemp foods providing a nutritious alternative to many of the others that are out there today. And that's what this show is about.
Right. We also put forward, Paul, you looked at the Oregon Harm Reduction Act that would, it's kind of like Octa-Lite without the hemp and that, because a lot of times people, they can't vote for two things or they won't move two things. So we're hoping that they tag it on to one of the bills. We also mentioned to them that if they don't do it this session, they're going to do it in the special session, and there sure will be one, because our budget is so bad. Our economic crisis is beyond belief, and unfortunately our legislators are just not, swift in getting with the program.
If they don't do it, then we will in the initiative process.
We will do it.
We've withdrawn the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition because we found that tying it to liquor stores was going to cause it to lose in our polls, and so we're going to be revising and coming up with something else if the legislature doesn't respond.
Right. We need a way out of this, and our country was founded on hemp.
That's right.
And we need it back in our in our economy.
All the colonial farmers were required to cultivate hemp for the British Navy. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes, hello.
Howdy.
Are you guys aware of the new DUI statute they're trying to inflict on our laws again?
Yep. Is that an Oregon proposal?
So that if you're, say for instance,
it's a task force.
You have your medical marijuana card, and what it does basically, if they pass this, it covers prescription drugs, which would include, if you have a card. And here's how it's going to work if they pass this, and there's a lot of people that don't want it passed. And I was watching Fox News, which I don't usually do, because they're full of it, and it's just all commercialized, as we know.
They're the opposite of the fair and balanced they purport to be.
Well, anyway, here's the problem: is they're including all prescription drugs in on this. So if you're stopped and you have like a prescription on you or a medical marijuana card or something, and you just tell them, hey, I'm just going to pee instead of taking the blood, right? But this would force you to take the blood test. See what I'm saying?
Sounds like forced hepatitis to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like the stimulus thing. It's just another way of them making money.
Good point. Good point. I want to thank you for your call.
Anyway, have a good one.
We'll have to stop that one. We have another question from a studio audience member. Hello.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
My name's Gary. I'm a card-carrying patient from Washington.
Hey, welcome.
And I just wanted to make a comment that in the last 2 weeks I've lost my job due to a refusal to take a drug screen for the same thing that my doctors prescribed for my condition. Also, the local police where I live found my personal pouch with my personal medicine in it and decided to confiscate an 1/8 ounce of my personal medicine, and also told me that they could arrest me if they wanted to.
And did you show them your permit from your doctor?
Yes, my paperwork was in the pouch. They said they'd give me back the pouch, but not the medical marijuana.
Well, they probably took it out and smoked it, if you ask me. Usually that's what they do. Yeah. Did they say, oh, you've got some good stuff here? Is that one of the things they said?
Have the best weed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that I've had, I went through 4 or 5 attorneys till I finally found one that, I can scrape enough change up to, so he's at least going to send a letter in. But, I went through all the channels. I did everything I was supposed to do, and this is a medical need for me, just like any other patient.
Of course.
And I just don't understand the government's persecution.
It's the way the law is written in Washington. It's backwards.
Yeah.
You have to prove that you're innocent. You have to go to court. You have to go to through the arrest process just to prove that indeed you are somebody who needs medical marijuana, and it's backwards.
So
you
this
shouldn't
was
have
the
to go
Vancouver
through any
police?
of those processes in order to get what you need to have a better life. It's just wrong.
Oh, Woodland.
It's out there now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Well, I commiserate with you. That's a shame. Unfortunately, it's in Washington. The law has been a lot more difficult to implement, and we, our office has offices helping patients in 8 different states currently, and our court cases in Washington State are 3 times more than all the other states combined.
Yeah.
Washington was the second state to pass their medical marijuana law, along with Oregon, in 1998, and the bill just was pretty poorly drafted. At first, they were allowed a 60-day supply. Well, now the legislature has altered that, but there's no state licensing process. Some people like that. I think it's one of the drawbacks with the Washington law. But anything we can do to help you in terms of going after the Woodland Police Department to stop that sort of thing happening in the future, just we'll talk after the show.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Another thing that might help the patients in Washington is a proposal that's in front of the Washington legislature right now to decriminalize the possession of marijuana, like you said in the news, 30 grams or less, so a little bit over an ounce. 30 grams or less would be treated just as a traffic ticket, basically. And so I think that would help out, like this gentleman here who just explained his situation, where he had only 1/8 of an ounce. I think that would help him out a great deal. So Washington viewers, get in touch with your Washington legislators and tell them you want to see that decriminalization bill pass.
Today was the last day it could make it out of committee, so I hope that they were able to get that out of committee.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I hope so. You know, one of the problems is we have to change the fact that they view us as criminals and not as patients. That's the biggest problem that we're faced with. They look at us and they say, these people are patients.
And they want that marijuana. You know, they've enforced it for so long, they just find it hard to give up.
And it can't change until we end prohibition for healthy adults too.
Yeah,
that's the thing. There's always going to be this conflict between the what they call the criminal side of marijuana and the medical side. It needs to be taxed, regulated, legalized for everyone.
That's exactly right. And on that note, I want to ask: is there anything you'd like to say in closing, Russ? Outside of that,
other than get on the web and contact your legislators, your officials. A lot of times people get this feeling like it doesn't matter. I can't affect anything. I can't do anything. One call or one letter, handwritten letter to a legislative official has an amazing effect because, like I said, they think that most people aren't going to bother. They're not going to take the trouble. So
I remember the first time I went down to the legislature here in Oregon, and I went into a committee hearing. I said, I don't like that and that and that. And so the legislator got up and erased it off the board. It was no longer part of the law just because I stood up and said something. It was pretty amazing. Anything you want to say in closing, Madeline?
Well, I want everybody to get out there and let your voice be heard because we all have one small voice. Together we are a giant roar that can shake the halls of the legislature and Congress.
I want to thank you for watching. We're going to go out on another videotape and some more music by Tim Pate and John Cornette. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp. Good night.
They're still setting up inside, so these folks are just waiting patiently for their chance to get in and to get to the clone table and get themselves a new plant to grow their own medicine and to heal themselves. And how you folks doing out here today? Good. So we're here with Sister Sativa, Oregon Normal co-founder and board member, and she also runs the clone table here at the Oregon Normal cardholder meetings. And explain what that means. What is a clone table and how does it work for the patients here?
Well, years ago when we first started having these meetings, there was just a few people, and they would bring a few cuttings to trade with their friends, and someone would say, oh, can